Hello friends, greetings for the day. I, CA Pujin Kapadia, welcome you all on my today's lecture on the subject Banking Paper 6. Friends, as you all are very well aware, we had started with the topic of payment bank in our previous lecture, under which we had gone through two important points. First was introduction and second was meaning. So let's see first, before starting with the fresh topic for today, what we have covered till date. First thing was introduction, under which I had explained you that payment bank is an outcome of Nachiket More committee. This committee was led by Mr. Nachiket More. At that particular point of time, Mr. Raghuram Rajan was the governor of RBI who has formed this particular committee in 2013 with major focus on some specific strata of the society like small businesses and low income households. The major focus of the committee was financial inclusion, which means to extend financial services to all the strata of the society, and which three financial services are mainly included. It is banking services, insurance services, and investment services. This committee had submitted its report in January 2014, fine, which has recommended several measures, one of which was establishment of payment bank. Afterwards, on 19th August 2015, Reserve Bank of India has given in principle license to 11 entities to launch payment banks. So in crux, we can remember 3 years. 2013 committee was formed, 2014 they have submitted their report, and in 2015 RBI has given in principle license to how many entities? To 11 entities. Next slide, we have taken the list of active payment banks as of now. There are 7 active payment banks who are actually registered and licensed under Payments Bank. You can see a very common part in this. Each and every name is ending by the word Payments Bank. As a result of which, it is necessary, a requirement that if you are a payment bank, your name should be ending with 2 words, that is Payments Bank. And at the end, we had seen the meaning, like what is the meaning of payment bank, under which I had explained you. Payment bank functions like any other bank. It is doing most of the banking operations, but at a smaller level. But it is not involving itself in any kind of credit risk, which means it is not providing any kind of loan. It is not providing credit cards. What was the main objective as per RBI guidelines? The main objective of setting payment bank was to further or expand financial inclusion by doing two important things. First is small savings account, and second is payment or remittance services to whom? To all the stated part of the society. So friends, we had covered till this points. So today, moving ahead, we are going to start with a fresh topic. Today we are only going to deal with one long question, only one long question, the heading of which is features or characteristics of payment bank. What is the heading? Features or characteristics of payment banks. In this particular answer, there are many things, many data that you are supposed to remember. As a result of which, what I am going to do and what is my target is, we are going to try that we learn each and every data today itself with this particular lecture only. So that what I'm going to do is, I'm going to explain you one particular slide. We are going to revise that particular slide, and I'll be giving you a minute so that you can learn that particular data. There are basically only 4 slides that we are going to cover today. So without wasting any kind, we will start with the first one. I have divided this particular answer into 3 different categories. So the first category read as requirements. They must comply to following. So if I am a payment bank, what all are the requirements I'm supposed to follow, I'm supposed to comply. Fine. So we are going to deal with particular topic. First is minimum capital. You should be having minimum capital of rupees 100 crores. So what should be my minimum paid up capital? Rupees 100 crores. If my paid up capital is below 100 crores, I cannot form a payment bank. So minimum criteria is 100 crores minimum capital. Second point is minimum net worth to get listed. If I want to make my payment bank a listed entity, means people can trade in the shares of the payment bank. I want to list it on the stock exchanges. Then what is the minimum net worth which is required? Answer is rupees 500 crores. So minimum capital requirement is 100 crores, while for other commercial bank, minimum capital requirement is rupees 500 crores. So for payment bank, it is 100. For other commercial bank, it is 500. Now, if my payment bank wants to get listed, what is the net worth requirement? It is minimum rupees 500 crores. So till now, you need to remember two things: minimum capital 100 crores, minimum capital or net worth to be listed 500 crores. Let's move ahead. Third is, what is the minimum Indian investment which is required? For example, I am having the capital of 100 crores. So out of 100 crores, how much fund should be invested by an Indian investor? So here the answer is 26%. I have written over here maximum FDI. FDI stands for foreign direct investment. Maximum FDI, which is permissible in payment bank, is up to 74%. So I can have funds from foreigner up to 74%. So it is mandatory that at least come se come 26% of my total capital should be by Indian investor. So if the question comes up, how much Indian capital is required in payment bank? Answer is going to be 26%. Keeping it in other words, if the question comes up, what is the maximum amount of foreign direct investment permissible in payment bank? Answer is going to be 74. So total of which is 100. Minimum 26% of Indian capital, or you can say maximum 74% of foreign capital. So FDI is permissible maximum up to 74%. Let's move to the next point. Fourth point. Branches in unbanked areas. Now let me explain you friends what is unbanked areas. Those areas where there is no existence of any kind of banking facilities. For example, if we take certain villages, there is no banking facility available in that particular village. So such areas are known as unbanked areas. So in this particular thing, if I'm starting with my payment bank, at least 25% of my total branches. For example, I am planning to set up in total 100 branches all over the country. So out of 100, minimum 25 branches, that is 25% of my total branches should be in unbanked areas. Unbanked area means those areas where there is no banking facilities available. So this is your next requirement. That is how much percentage of your total branches should be in unbanked areas. Answer is 25%. Next point is maintenance of deposits. I know many customers are going to open small savings account with my payment bank and they are going to deposit their funds along with me. Now, it is my responsibility, or as a business person, what I'm going to do, I'm going to invest the deposit somewhere or the other. So there is a criteria on that particular investments also, that whenever I'm depositing my funds along with me, 75% should be in government bonds and 25% should be with other banks. So it is said where I'm going to invest my funds, 75% in government bonds and remaining 25% with other banks. This is the form of investment. So if I'm having 100 rupees in my pocket, 75 rupees should be going to government bonds and 25 rupees should be going to any other banks. And the last point on this particular slide is promoter's stake. Who is a promoter? The person who has started with this particular business, who had an idea to start a payment bank and has then with all the initial formalities so that payment banks come into existence. So those are known as promoters. The promoter's stake or the shareholdings, I can say, for the first 5 years of incorporation of payment bank should be at least 40%. It means if the total share capital of a payment bank is 100 crores, at least 40 crores should be held by total promoters in the first 5 years. It means the persons who have actually started with this business should have a minimum shareholding collectively of 40%. Minimum, fine. It can be more, but it cannot be less. So for the first 5 years of my business of payment bank, minimum 40%, at least 40% should be held by the promoters. So let's recall all the points that we have studied on this particular slide. To set up a payment bank, I had to follow certain requirements. Minimum share capital, rupees 100 crores. If I want to get it listed, then the capital limit increases to rupees 500 crores. FDI permissible is maximum up to 74%. So minimum I need 26% investment from Indian investors. Branches allocation. So total branches का 25%, it is 25% of my total branches should be in unbanked areas. Unbanked means those areas where there is no banking facilities. Now, whenever I am having any fund as deposit, where can I invest those funds? 75% in government bonds and 25% in other banks. And last is promoter stake, that is promoters holding for first 5 years should be at least 40% of my total holding. So minimum 40% of my capital should be held by promoters for the first 5 years. I'm just giving you a minute, friends. Take a quick overview and try to learn all the 6 points which are stated on your slide. Well, I hope you are ready with the data which is being served to you on this particular slide. So let's move ahead with the requirements part. Next requirement stated here is maximum voting right per shareholder is limited to 10% as of now. So a particular shareholder can have a maximum voting power of 10%. It cannot have the voting right of more than 10%. However, RBI can raise or increase this 10% up to 26%. So if RBI thinks that it is genuine and if it is practical enough under the eyes of law, then it may, at its own discretion, increase this 10% limit up to 26%. So what you guys need to remember over here is a person or a shareholder can have the maximum voting rights of 10%. But if RBI feels it correct, it may increase his voting limit of 10% up to 26%. That is up to voting rights. Next is RBI's approval for share acquisition. If I want to purchase shares from any of the shareholders of payment bank, I can easily transact that particular part. But if I am buying more than 5% of the total share capital, for example, the total share capital of the payment bank is 100 crores and of which I am thinking to buy 10 crores. Now 10 crores is basically 10% of my total capital, fine, which is more than 5%. As a result of which, whenever I am thinking to transact more than 5% of the share acquisition, then it is mandatory that I need to take approval from Reserve Bank of India. So in second requirement on this particular slide, you need to remember, friends, that whenever there is a transaction of share acquisition for more than 5% of shares, in that particular case, RBI's approval is necessary. Next point that I have already discussed, must use the term at the end. All the names are going to end with the words payments bank. So at the end, we need to compulsorily add payments bank. For example, Paytm. So we tell it is Paytm Payments Bank. Last point over here is leverage. Leverage basically here means capital adequacy ratio. That is the ratio between the risk weighted assets to the capital. Here it is written the leverage ratio should not be less than 3%. It means payment bank's external liabilities should not exceed 33.33 times, that is 1/3 of its net worth. So what they are trying to say is, if I am having total capital and reserves, that is a net worth, fine, my total outside liabilities should not be more than 33.33 times of my total net worth. In short, you need to remember over here, my leverage should not be less than 3%. That is, my external liabilities should not exceed 33.33 times of my net worth. Net worth means reserves plus share capital. So I hope I'm clear with all the 4 further requirements that we have covered in this particular slide. First is with respect to voting power, that a shareholder, one shareholder, cannot have maximum voting power more than 10%. So his maximum cap of voting power is 10%. But if RBI feels it correct, then it can approve up to 26%. So a voting power of a shareholder can be increased up to 26% if RBI feels so. Otherwise, it is limited to 10%. Second point is, if I'm doing any transaction of share acquisition, that is, I'm buying the shares more than 5%, then in particular case, I need to take RBI's approval. Third is very simple. At the end of the name, I need to compulsory add 2 words, that is payments bank. And last is leverage ratio should not be less than 3%. That is, my total outside liabilities, external liabilities cannot exceed 33.33 times of my net worth, that is capital plus reserves. I hope you are clear with these requirements. Yes, fine. Now I have placed a box at the bottom part of this slide which read as a payment bank is licensed. See, there are 2 important words. One is licensed and second is registered. We have studied RBI has given in principle license to all the entities to start the payment banks. So whenever a payment bank is being licensed, it is licensed under section 22 of the Banking Regulation Act 1949. So payment banks gets a license to carry on the business in our country under section 22 of the Banking Regulation Act 1949, and it is registered as a public limited company under Companies Act 2013. So you just need to memorize these 2 things. It is licensed under Banking Regulation Act and it is registered as a public company under Companies Act 2013. I hope I am clear with this particular slide. Yes. So again, I'm just giving you a moment. Take a quick overview on all the points which are stated on this particular slide. Well, friends, I hope you are clear with the points which are stated over here. So by this slide, we had completed the first part of this particular answer, that is the requirements that a payment bank is required to comply with. Now let's move ahead to the second part, that is what functions or what activities can a payment bank do? मतलब payment bank क्या-क्या काम कर सकते हैं? First is it can accept only CASA. CASA means current account and saving account deposits. So it can accept deposits from the public in form of 2 things. One is either as a current account or as a savings account. Second point is maximum amount of deposit in one account is rupees 1 lakh. So a particular account cannot have the deposit of more than 1 lakh rupees. What is the maximum amount of deposit one can have in one account? It is 1 lakh rupees. Third is it is free to issue debit cards. Fine, so it can issue debit cards. It can offer any internet or phone banking activities. Like we all know, we are doing online transactions on Paytm. Fine, that is payment bank. So it offers us phone banking or internet banking facilities. Next is it offers forex services. Forex is basically foreign exchange services. Those are also being offered at the payment bank. It can have ATMs. Payment banks have issues cards, as a result of which to encash money out of those cards, it is required to have an ATM. So it can have ATMs also. It provides platform for cross-selling transaction. Now cross-selling is something, it is not directly related to your business. Fine. You are a bank, so you are selling the product of accounts, that is deposit accounts. But you can provide a platform for cross-selling, like you can provide your customers to come and log in into your account and have certain activities such as mutual funds, FDs, etc. So what you can do is you can tie up with certain mutual funds, you can tie up with certain banks who can issue fixed deposits to your customers. In short, cross-selling means you are not directly selling your particular product, but what you are doing is you are providing a platform so for some another businessman so that they can come at your platform and sell that particular products. So as a payment bank, I cannot have fixed deposits, right? We have already read in the first point. I can accept only current account deposit and savings account deposit. But at the same time, I can tie up with certain bank and provide them a platform. For example, I want HDFC Bank to offer fixed deposit services. Fine. So what I can do as a payment bank is I can provide a platform and I can ask my customers to deposit their fund as a form of fixed deposit in HDFC Bank. So I am not providing any kind of facility of fixed deposit. But what I'm providing is I'm providing a platform to certain other bank that they can offer their products via my platform. So this is providing a platform for cross-selling. And next is something like that, performing as a gateway of online payments. We all know by using payment bank facility, we are paying light bills, gas bills, telephone bills, we do mobile recharges, we also shop online, etc. In short, payment banks is providing an online gateway, fine, for all the kind of online payment transactions. So in Crux, what you guys need to remember over here is majority of the modern banking functions are being provided by payment banks. It accepts only current account and saving account deposits. It is not directly accepting, or it cannot accept fixed deposits. What is the maximum amount you can deposit in one account? It is 1 lakh. Then it is offering all the services, and more importantly, it is providing a platform for cross selling. So payment bank is not selling mutual funds or FDs, but it is providing a platform so that the actual vendors can come and display their products. Last is it is a gateway for online payments. I hope you are clear. Just take a quick overview on all the points that what a payment bank can do. Fine. Take a quick overview. Well, friends, I hope you are clear with what all are the activities can be done by the payment bank. So now let's move to the last topic for today. What it cannot do, which are the activities cannot be done by the payment banks. First is it cannot accept fixed deposits. As we have clearly seen in the last slide, it can accept deposits either as CASA, that is current account, or savings account. It cannot accept any kind of fixed deposits. But yes, it can provide a platform to some another bank to display their fixed deposit products. In short, payment bank cannot open fixed deposit in their own name, but what it can do is it can offer a platform for any other bank to come and offer fixed deposit product. But what we need to remember over here is it cannot accept fixed deposits. Fine. Second is it cannot issue credit cards. You know, most of the banks, almost all the banks are issuing credit cards. But payment bank, we have studied in the first session of us on this topic that payment bank cannot afford to take any kind of credit risk, as a result of which it cannot issue credit cards. Same on the similar lines, there is your third point. It cannot sanction any kind of loans. We know certain banks are offering you home loan, car loan, business loan, etc. But payment bank cannot offer any kind of loans. Fine, because it cannot take any kind of credit risk. Next point is it cannot handle cross-border remittances. Suppose you need to transfer funds from one country to another country, payment bank cannot be involved in this particular transfer or remittance of funds which are cross-border, that is between two nations. It is applicable anywhere within the country, but it cannot take cross-border remittances. Next is it cannot accept NRI deposits. It is accepting deposits from or the resident of the country, but it cannot accept deposits from NRI. And last is, it cannot form subsidiaries. That is, it cannot form any subsidiary company to carry on non-banking activities. Let's say, for example, payment bank is functioning as a bank, fine, carrying on all the functions that are permissible. Now, if it wins that it wants to sell mutual funds, so what he's thinking is, let's open up a subsidiary company and sell mutual funds in that particular name. Answer is strictly no. It cannot open any kind of subsidiaries in order to involve themselves into non-banking activities. They can only do the activities which are permissible, as we have already studied in the previous slide. They cannot go outside their purview. As a result of which, what are the functions payment bank cannot do? They cannot accept fixed deposit, they cannot issue credit cards, they cannot sanction loans, they cannot handle any cross-border remittances, they cannot accept NRI deposits, and they cannot form any kind of subsidiary to carry on non-banking activities. So with this, I hope you are totally clear with this entire topic, that is features or characteristics of the payment bank, under which we have broadly classified the answer into three categories. First was requirement, second was what are the activities payment bank can do, and third was it cannot do. I hope I am clear with this. Okay. So now it's the time to test your knowledge. 5 MCQs, 25 to 30 seconds each. Mark your answers, after completion of which we are going to discuss the correct answers. I hope you are ready with the same, and your time starts now. Well, friends, I hope you are ready with the correct answers. So let's check them one by one. The first question was minimum requirement for capital for payment bank is. We had studied what was the minimum capital requirement. It is 100 crores. So the correct answer is option A, that is 100 crores. Second is maximum FDI, that is foreign direct investment, permissible in payment bank is. How much percentage can I have as an FDI, foreign direct investment? Answer is option B, 74%. So maximum 74% FDI is permissible, but minimum you need 26% of your Indian investment. So here the question was maximum FDI permissible. So the correct answer is option B, 74%. Next question was maximum deposit in one account of payment bank is rupees dash lakh. We have already studied. I can have maximum of 1 lakh rupees in a one particular account. So correct answer is option A, 1. That is 1 lakh. Next question is leverage ratio, that I have used the word capital adequacy ratio in payment bank should not be less than dash percentage. Correct answer is option C, 3%. Your leverage ratio should not be less than 3%. And last is payment banks can. What payment bank can do? It can issue debit cards. That is correct answer is option A, because we all know it cannot give loans, it cannot issue credit cards, and it cannot open fixed deposits. So correct answer is option A. It can issue debit cards. I hope all of you might have got all your answers correctly. With this, I, CA Pujan Kapadia, thank you all for your patient listening and hope to see you soon in my next lecture. Thank you.